Okie dokie, so today we have an Emom workout. I actually already did the workout, but I tried explaining in between sets what I was doing. That's not very easy when you only have like 40 seconds to rest. So what I'm gonna do instead is have just a quick little recap of what I did. I did 20 sets of Emom and I was alternating between push-ups and pull-ups. So I did 15 push-ups and 10 pull-ups and basically switched in between those to get a total of 150 push-ups and 100 pull-ups in 20 minutes. And that gave me a sick pump, as you will see in a moment. But one thing I do want to explain is, for the push-ups, how do you get them, to hit your chest? And for the pull-ups, how do you get them to properly hit your back? So let's start with the push-ups here. I guess you can see that. There we go. What I'm gonna do with the push-ups to really let them hit my chest is basically lean backwards a little bit. Something that especially planchers, I do this as well, tends to do on push-ups is lean forward a little bit, because if you do a lot of planche, your shoulders will be the strongest, and if you lean forward, you can take over the push-up with your shoulder. But if you want the push-ups to enter your chest, you can lean back a little bit so that the bar kind of hits your upper chest. And it's important that the bar hits your chest, that you go all the way down, because, the push-up, this, that's going to be more your triceps. But if you go down here, you have the stretch on your chest, and that's where you can really have the, the weight loaded on your chest, right? When you're here, your triceps are bent, most of the weight is going to go in your chest. And then when you push back up, you'll really feel it. And also what you don't want to do is get your arms bent inwards like this. This is going to be more of the triceps. You want them not all the way flared out, of course, but kind of in the middle to the side, so that you can really, again, use the chest. All right, so that's it for the push-ups. That's what I was focusing on. Basically, I was doing that so I can have the maximum load on my chest and the minimum load on my shoulders, because my shoulders are tired from the planche, and basically I want those to recover. Mudkeep! Yay! So for the pull-up, what you want to do when you want to activate your back, remember I once made a short on how to activate your bicep, and what you had to do was basically put your elbows in front, like as much together as possible, and curl in with your wrist towards your shoulders, like this. You would do your pull-ups or your chin-ups in this case in order to hit the bicep. But you kind of want to do the opposite when you're doing pull-ups for your back. So when you're with your elbows in front, it's very difficult to activate your back. But what I try to do in the pull-up to hit my back is to really, squeeze my lats by trying to put my elbows behind my back and have them almost touch, Of course, my elbows are never gonna touch behind my back, that's impossible. Or maybe for some people it is, but even though I can't do that, I'm gonna intend to do it. So, you sometimes see people going with their elbows forward in the pull-up like this, but I really try to, have the pull-up like this, and by basically making sure that my elbows are, or at least trying to hit behind my back, I will naturally face my chest upwards and really be able to squeeze my lats. So you should give that a go. But that's kind of what I paid attention to during the Emom training. I'll have a quick time lapse of how that training looked like. And what I'm gonna do now is just a little bit of a finisher. I'm gonna do a couple sets of tuck planche push-ups. Or I guess, no, let's cut to the time lapse and then I'll be back. There we go. Okay, so Emom pumps might just be the best pumps you ever experience. Like, just standing here, I feel my fucking chest. I'm not used to a chest pump because I almost never train chest, but yeah, today I have a chest pump. All right. Whew. All right, so this was just a quick pump check because I didn't want to lose the juice in my titties before checking out how they looked. But the workout is not done yet, you know. I'm gonna head back upstairs and do some tuck planche, supinated, you know, to basically attack my weak points. But also, you know, I did the tuck planche supinated a couple days ago, I think on the last day of my maxing out. And I know how weak I was back then. So if today I feel a little bit stronger, then that means I'm heading in the right direction. So it's going to be, you know, good for the biceps, targeting the weak points, but also just in general to see how my recovery is going. So let's head upstairs and do that. Okay, so those tuck planches, advanced tuck planches, were insanely hard on the bicep because I was putting my fingers back, you know. By putting my fingers back, I am exposing my bicep in the front and it's taking over more load from the shoulders. So very heavy. And when people ask, you know, why do gymnasts have such big biceps? Why do calisthenics athletes have such big biceps? I mean, they certainly have not tried a planche before, especially not a supinated planche, because if they did, they wouldn't be asking the question. I mean, my bicep just felt like bursting after one set already. And that's something that gymnasts do on a daily basis. So, of course, they're going to have big biceps. But yeah, that's it for today's training. Very happy. And the Emom style, you know, I don't use it often nowadays, but I used to use it quite a lot. And, you know, I was at one point injured from planche because before I used to get injured a lot, right? And every time I got injured, I would basically, you know, have these periods in between where I would do a lot of Emom because, you know, maybe one of my joints was hurting or my tendons was hurting. But doing the high volume stuff with Emom, you know, allowed me to stay fit and even get stronger during those times, you know, because with Emom, it's powerful. It's like with running, you also have this where, you know, if you just start out running, maybe you can go like a kilometer or two, right? But if you keep doing it, it's like endurance based and your body just gets used to the volume. And in the end, you're going to be able to do like 10, 20, maybe like 40 kilometers, right? Like a full marathon. Like there is so much room for improvement when it comes to endurance in humans. And it's the same for the Emom stuff because Emom is more endurance based, right? Rest time is very low. It's even cardio. I measured my heart rate once during like a half an hour Emom session. It was between 130 and 150, 160 in the end. So that's zone 2 cardio into zone 3, right? That's perfect for just, you know, staying fit, but also you're adapting to all of these strength exercises. You're adapting to push-ups, you're getting muscular endurance, you're adapting to whatever exercise you're doing. And because there is so much room for growth in endurance, you can make gains very quickly with the Emom stiff. You might start out with like 5 sets, right, and do 10 reps of push-ups each set. But very quickly you can grow into, doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sets, and perhaps increasing the reps per set from 10 to 12, right, or even 14, 15. And there's so much room for growth, and before you know it, you'll be doing like 20-minute Emom, 30-minute Emom, perhaps if you're very crazy, even an hour, but getting in that insane volume, right? And it's just so much fun. I don't do it all the time because it's not necessarily beneficial for skill training all the time. But when I go on vacation, I'll be going on a weekend trip, I do Emom. When I'm going to Japan in a month, I'll be doing Emom for a lot of the workouts because it saves time as well, right? You have such short rest time that if you do 20 sets, you're basically only spending 20 minutes, which is very, very nice as well. So yeah, Emom has its benefits for sure, even though I might not be doing it all the time. But yeah, that's it for today's workout. I'm gonna, have a shower and some breakfast, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. I think it might be like Q&A part 2, or maybe Q&A part 2 was yesterday. Maybe it's another workout video. We'll see, right? The schedule is a bit weird now, but we'll get back to it.